Alright, so welcome to the second video in the new packet radio setup series. So I talked about last video, I just gave a quick overview of what the NPR was. This time I want to get down in the meat and potatoes and start using it because, if you look behind me here, I actually got my second one in. So before you hook anything up, you want to configure your operating system to be the most efficient with this packet radio. And the reason I say that is because we're going to be using Windows. Windows sends a lot of diagnostic data to Microsoft. And what we're going to be doing in this video is going to be setting up a debloated Windows install. Now, if you've never reinstalled Windows or installed Windows in operating system, there's a million sources online for that. I'm not going to get into the weeds of all that because it's going to take a long time just to configure the operating system itself or to debloat it. The reason we do that is so we are not tying up our radio or packet radio that is running at dial-up connection speeds so that Windows can check Microsoft servers to see if we're online or not every second, right? So I'm going to show you guys the way that I have it set up, but there's all kinds of different ways that you can go about doing this. And to be truthful, you don't even have to do this at all if you want to just use the new packet radio, but you're going to have a rough time. The first thing you want to do is get a new Windows install. Now, you can run Windows in a virtual machine and use an Ethernet adapter to connect your new packet radio, or you can install Windows to go on a USB stick from your Rufus, or you can just make a new Windows install on a USB connected to the computer. There's a million different ways to do this, and that's why I can't cover every single way. But what I am going to show you guys is where to find the ISO that I use, which is called Tiny11. And what Tiny11 is a Windows ISO file. It's an installer for Windows that has stripped out most of the trash that's in the Windows install. We're going to use that as our baseline. You can write this to a USB stick with a program called Rufus. The download link for both of these will be below. Or you can set this up in a virtual machine. Now, for recording purposes, I'm going to be doing all this on a virtual machine. But if you write it to a USB stick to install on actual hardware, it'll be the same process. So the link to Tiny11, like I said, will be here in the description. And what you'll do is go to ISO image on the right over here. And then you're going to download the 22H2 beta no system requirements. You're going to download that. Now I'm not going to make it too complicated with different ISOs and stuff. This is the one I use. If you guys have a preference on debloated Windows ISOs, if you're into all that, by all means, use that. Alright, so if you're installing this, just one screen you first want to pay attention to, opt out of all this. This is all things we'll be turning off later. So just make sure all of that stuff is turned off during the install process. Alright, so this video is going to be all about optimizing Windows. The next video, we will actually install the server tools and set up a master and a client for the NPR systems. So once again, this entire video could be skipped. We're just optimizing the network, but I highly recommend against it because this is going to make sure that there's no garbage traffic that Windows will put out on the network that's tying up our 56,000 baud connection. So I have created a pack for this called the NPR Pack 5, which contains all the server applications we're going to use, all the client applications we're going to use, and all the optimization tools we're going to use in this video. If you guys want, you can download this pack. It's all bundled up in a zip file. You can extract it, or I'll also provide the link to all of the individual programs that we use in the description. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and just extract my pack here, and it's going to also contain the how-to files of how we're going to debloat Windows. I have everything documented step by step, and I found this to just be the most efficient way to do this that I can show you guys. Alright, so once you have that extracted, inside the NPR Pack 5 folder, there's going to be a how-to folder, and that's what we're going to go to first. And you'll see a NPR OS configuration, And this is just a list of steps that I've documented for both Windows 10 and 11 to make sure that we're eliminating all the diagnostic data from the OS. So we're going to start here. We're on Windows 11. If you guys are on Windows 10, you'll start here. So on Windows 11, we're going to first go to Settings, System, and Notifications. Settings, System, Notifications, and we're going to turn that off. Too easy. Turn off all, and turn off suggestions under Additional Settings. So under Additional Settings here, make sure you go down here and turn off suggestions. Next, we're going to go to Settings, System, Clipboard. So we're going to go back to System and find Clipboard. And we're going to turn off all of this too. Now we're going to Settings, Time and Language, and we're going to disable Set Time Automatically. System, let's see, Time and Language right here. Date and time. We're going to turn off this set automatically. And you guys can change that manually if you'd like, but that's just going to prevent our computer from reaching out trying to get the time when it's going to not have access to the Microsoft servers. Next, we're going to go to Settings, System, Power. Now, this is definitely going to apply if this machine that you're configuring is going to be a master server, because you don't want it to go to sleep. But you want to change this when plugged in, turn off. You may want to make sure that it doesn't turn off automatically, so make sure you select that. I'm going to also change my power mode to best performance, because why not? Next, we are going to go to Settings, System, Nearby Sharing. Settings, System, Nearby Sharing. We're going to make sure that it is turned off or disabled. Next, we're going to go to the big privacy section. So this is where a lot of the stuff's going to get actually disabled. We're going to disable everything under General. So let's go to General and just turn off all of this. Now, we're going to go to Settings, Privacy, Windows Security. Virus and threat protection. Manage settings under virus and threat protection settings. And here we're going to turn off cloud derived protection, and we're going to get a warning. And we're going to disable automatic sample submission. All right, so if you guys are paranoid on why we're doing that, basically every time you run a file in Windows, that file, a lot of the times, if it's unknown to Microsoft, is they'll upload that file to their servers to scan. So we don't want to upload big files that we're running on a packet network or attempting to. It's just wasting bandwidth. So we're going to turn that off. Next, we're going to go to Settings, Privacy, Inking, and Typing Personalization. So we're going to go back to Security, Privacy and Security, Inking and Typing, and we're going to turn that off. Next, we're going to go to Settings, Privacy, Speech, and disable everything. So that's already off. Now we're going to go to Settings, Privacy, Diagnostic, and Feedback. Let's see, where are you? Diagnostic and Feedback. And you're going to make sure that all of this is turned off as well. Now, man, there's a lot of this stuff. Settings, Privacy, Account History. And we're going to disable everything. So, where is Account History? It could be Activity History. We'll go under that. Make sure all that's disabled as well. Search, so Settings, Privacy, Search Permissions. Where's Search Permissions? We're going to disable everything in here. We're not going to filter. We're not going to use cloud content search. We're not going to search the history on the device. And we're going to turn off search highlights. All of that stuff, there's a lot of things that actually generate a lot of network traffic that you wouldn't think of. Now there should be, let's see, let's scroll to, you can turn these off at your discretion. You know, you can go through and turn these off if you want. There's no reason for this master server or this configuration to be using any of these apps. So if you'd like to go turn those off, you can. I'm not going to. But what I will find is to make sure that we go to settings, privacy, other devices, background apps, and diagnostics, and turn those off. So those can be a little tricky to find, but I'm going to start from the bottom. App diagnostics, make sure to turn those off. Back to settings and privacy, scroll to the bottom. And we're also going to find other devices, turn that off. And background apps, we're going to also disable that. Must have been a Windows 10 thing that I left in there. So next we're going to go to settings, update and security, which is Windows Update. And next we're going to go to advanced options. And we're going to disable all of this stuff, right? Now we're going to go to delivery optimization. And we're going to disable this. This is one of the most important things. Because if one of your computers on your packet network have a Windows update and the other does not, you'll start transferring hundreds and maybe gigabytes of files over the network just to try to get that update. And that will completely disable your packet system for that time, and it will tie it up for everybody. So make sure to turn that off. Now that you have that, we're going to close out settings, and we're going to find the network icon that's at the bottom right of your screen down here where my mouse is. We're going to right click that and hit network and internet connection settings. And this is going to pull up your network adapter. So once you're here, under your Ethernet adapter, the one that you're using for the NPR, you want to click on it, and under metered connection, you want to turn that on. And this is going to help reduce some of the data that's going on in the background. It'll help Windows decide to limit itself a little bit. So once you have the metered connection running, we're going to go back one window, and then we're going to go down to advanced network settings. Now from here, we're going to go to more network adapter options, which is toward the bottom. And then it's going to load this up, and we're going to right click our Ethernet adapter. We're going to hit properties. Now from here, we're going to uncheck the following: client from Microsoft Networks, file and print sharing. You're going to unselect IPv6 because we can't use IPv6 over packet radio yet. We're this protocol. And we're going to disable both of these link layers at the very bottom. And we're going to hit OK. And let me make sure that I didn't put any more notes in there. Right. Now, that pretty much takes care of all the things that we can do by hand. There's a couple of other programs that I'm going to suggest. Now, the first one, and all of these are in the pack, if you guys just download the pack. If not, we're going to go back to the pack, and under optimization, you'll see a few programs here, mainly Wireshark, O&O Shutup10, and Autoruns. So the first thing we're going to do is run Autoruns, and I'll provide the download link for Autoruns if you guys don't want to download the pack. But you're going to right click the Autorun 64, and we're going to run it as administrator. Now, you'll also have to agree. What this is going to do is it shows all of the programs that start up on your computer. And this goes beyond what you typically think of in the task manager or the installer, and it shows a lot more stuff. It'll just take a few minutes to scan everything, but once it does, we're going to go through and uncheck some garbage that we don't need. So all of these Microsoft Update Orchestrator, uncheck that if you can. Some of it won't let you. Microsoft Edge update tasks, we don't want to do updates on Microsoft Edge. Disable those. Edge update, more, just disable those. Those are the big ones. Now, if you want to see more, you may be able to go to user and change yourself to system. And once again, this is all optional stuff. This is things just to kind of help make everything work a little better, right? So I'm kind of happy with how that looks. I've just disabled some edge updates. Once you do that, you can pretty much just close it out. The next optimization that I recommend running is O&O Shutup10. So I'll provide the link to that, but it's basically called Shutup10. And it's an application made for Windows 10, but it works on 11 too. And it'll allow you to disable a lot of stuff that Microsoft's sending to the servers. So I'm going to go under Actions. I'm going to hit Apply Only Recommended Settings and hit OK. And this is just, you can scroll down and see what all it's disabled, but it disables a lot of that diagnostics things that we didn't see in the Settings app. So once you apply that, you can hit X and hit OK. Now, to test the fruits of our labor, we're going to close everything else out. We're going to, again, this is optional. The next program I recommend checking out is Wireshark. The program's going to be in the pack if you guys want to use that. If not, again, the download link is going to be below. So install Wireshark. Choose to install the NCAP program. Now, what Wireshark is going to allow us to do is actually watch the network traffic to see if we need to block anything else, or if anything else is using the network that we don't want to use. So it allows us to kind of see the packets going back and forth and disable things at whim. And this is the final check of our optimization, just to fine-tune things. There is one more thing that I recommend doing. And this is getting a little advanced, so if you guys aren't comfortable with it, that's fine. But a lot of times Microsoft still has things in the background that reach out to see if your computer's online and to check things. And there's one more topic that we can cover to kind of nip that in the bud as well. And that is your host file. Inside this NPR OS configuration guide that I just stepped through, at the very end, you'll see add the following entries to your host file. All of this is just it blocks all of these domains, basically, on your computer. It blocks it from even entering your network. So if you guys are tech savvy enough, follow along here. If not, that's okay. But we're going to hit the search, and we're going to type in Notepad. And we're going to right-click Notepad and hit Run as Administrator. And then we're going to hit Yes. Next, we're going to go to File, Open. And we're going to go to our C drive, Windows, System 32, Drivers, etc. And we're going to change the text documents filter to all files. And then we're going to click Hosts. From here, we're going to take this giant list of things at the end of the how-to file, all the way up to where it starts right below add the following. We're going to copy it, and we're going to paste it in there, and then we're going to save it. Now, I have heard of virus protections picking this up because a lot of times viruses will block Microsoft servers because they don't want to get scanned, etc. So if your virus protection pops up, if you put this in, just know that's what's going on. But this will save us a little bit of bandwidth once we get the packet radio started. So with WinCap installed, for Wireshark, we're going to go ahead and restart our computer. And hopefully this will be restarting into a very fresh install where there's no unneeded network traffic. And we're going to test that with Wireshark to see what's going out. So I'll see you guys in just a second. So once we're restarted back into our computer, we're going to hit the start button, and I'm going to right click Wireshark and I'll run it as administrator. Now, once it pops up, we should see our current network adapter in the list, and that is called the Ethernet. So we're going to double click on that, and it's going to show us the packets that are being used. So ideally you would want this to be as blank as possible, because everything that pops up on the screen would theoretically be trying to pass through the packet radio. So if you don't see anything, you're doing pretty good. If you only see a couple things here and there, you're still doing okay. What you don't want to see is a whole bunch of stuff in this screen, because if that's the case, it's going to tie up your bandwidth. But here we have actually optimized Windows in such a way that we're not really seeing much at all. And that's exactly, this is just things that are built into the operating system. They have to happen for the network to work right. So the fact that we're only seeing this is good. That means that we have an optimized Windows install, and we are now ready to actually get into configuring the NPR and installing some of the server software that we're going to be using with the NPR. And that's pretty much it. So this is it. That was debloating Windows, making sure that our network resources aren't tied up. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Here in the next couple days, the next video is going to be all about setting up a master client for the NPR, or yes, the master client. So all of the server infrastructure we're going to set up in one video. We're going to set up a TeamSpeak server. We're going to set up an IRC server. We're going to set up a web server. We're going to set up a chat server. And we're going to set up a video game server. All of that's going to be done. And then we're going to move on to the client, install all the client software. We're going to set it up for the NPR. And then we're going to get to start talking. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you have a nice clean OS with you can also use this for everyday usage. If you guys just want a fresh Windows install, you can go through the steps in this video and get a pretty clean Windows install without all the garbage. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and 73 to you.